our modifiers. So we're just going to start with something very similar, int. And what could be an int? What is something that is not a decimal? And so you could say people in a house. Old count. So this is something that is most definitely a whole number. You can't have part of a person. And we're saying count because we want it to be a number. So you can't have like 4.2 people, or a number is not going to be Bob. Okay. And so we're going to set that equal to, and just a single equal sign is different, but we're going to set this name of the variable, household member count. That's the name of the variable. The integer is just what kind of values it's going to store. And so if we said, let's say there's 4 people in a house, and then you add your semicolon, like I mentioned last time. We have int, and so then we could do something with it. So if I said, like last time, system.out.println, remember S is capital, and then we don't do the quotes, and we just type in hold member count. That's not in quotes. What is it gonna do? Well, if I ran this, okay, so there's some errors. Did I misspell something? Household MEM. Here, I'm just gonna copy and paste this variable name because it does not like. There we go. So now it's the same thing. So I guess I just misspelled it. So if I ran it, it's ran 4 because that is what we set this to be. Alright, and household member count, we could then change this. We don't have to do int now because we've already initialized it. We've created this variable. So now we could just change it, like, now that we've initialized it, we can change it throughout and it doesn't matter. And so then we could do this, and so it should say 467 because we started it with 4 and then we printed that, right? And then we said, hey, let's call this, and it printed the number 4, and then we changed it to 67, and we ran the exact same line, and it's now 67. So that is very basic things. And then let's say 2 house, and then let's say we had int house member count 2, okay, and that was 4, 3, and let's say we had to add them for some particular reason, and so we could create a new variable if we wanted to, or we could print out both of them. So I'm going to show you both of them. So we're going to just first combine it in one print statement. Household member count 1 and house member 2. And so for some reason they might be conjoining. I don't know. Did I misspell it? Member. There we go. Okay, I spelled it right this time. So now, for whatever reason, let's see what it does. We have, let's just run it. So we got 4, because that's just the first one. And then we added this 3 to it. 4 plus 3 is indeed 7. Alright, now we're going to get to be doing a little bit of math. And so, let's say in our hypothetical coding world, there's a tax rate for these people, okay? And it's going to be some kind of decimal, right? So we're going to do double, because just use double instead of float, okay? And then, because it's going to be a decimal, and then household member count. So let's just do tax rate. So we're going to do it all capital, but taxes don't very often change. Things like pi, anything like that. So we're going to do final, which means you cannot, maybe it's lowercase final. There we go, okay. So double final, that means we're going to have a decimal number that we cannot change. And if we just set that equal to 5, because it's a double, or we could do 5.0, right? And then my fault, final goes first. If I can spell final, there we go, final double. And so if we then tried to do what we did here and just overwrite it and say what we did earlier and say tax rate equals 2 or 3. Okay, let's see what happens. And it's going to give us an error. You see, it doesn't like that because it's a final. We cannot change it. Tax rate cannot be assigned. We cannot adjust. So once we have our thing, we cannot change it unless we change it up here in the initialization. And so now let's say we have to pay money every week for every person in the house for some reason. I don't know. Alright, so we're just going to create the name of the variable weekly cost. Okay. So what kind of value is it? Is it some words? Is it a character, a decimal, or just a number without a decimal? Well, I know it's definitely going to be a number because it's a cost, with or without a decimal. We're going to be multiplying it by a number with a decimal, so let's keep it with a decimal because we don't want to lose that precision. Alright, so we have our variable weekly cost, and then let's say we have to multiply our member count. And let's go hold MEMBR count 1. Did I spell it right? Probably not. Okay. So I'm just going to use this one, and we're going to, come on now. Okay, it still doesn't like, there we go. We're going to multiply it by tax rate for some reason, TA. And so that shift 8 is a multiply, and now if we ran this, it's just not going to do anything because we're just setting it to a variable. We're saying, hey, we could use this, but we're not using it. So let's just print it. Out.println and run it. So let's go through everything that happened. So first we printed the household member count. Let's just get rid of that. we know it's going to be 4 because we set it to be 4. And then we're adding the 2 together. So we have household member count 2, and then let's say they had to join forces. Let's say and 2. And so we don't have to print it again. We're just going to say, if we're going to use this again, let's just do that. Okay, we're going to create a new variable, household, total house 1 and 2. So those are just adding together 1. And be careful when you do a plus and a print statement, because it could just shove the 2 numbers together if you're not careful. So I would recommend just creating a new variable. Alright, and then double weekly costs. Okay, so household member count. So now if we ran it again without the extra stuff, 4.2. So we did 4 because that's household member count right here, and then we're going to multiply it by the tax rate. And what if we said, what if we wanted to do the same thing? We're going to update weekly cost. For instead of house 1, we're going to do total 1 and 2. Because, oh no, something happened. 1 and 2. Maybe they're just trying to see if they have all the money, and then they can figure it out. Okay, so we've already initialized this, so we're going to get rid of this thing that says double. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this line because it's the exact same variable name. And so let's run it. So we have 4.2 because that was, I'm going to separate these to make it look better. That was the weekly cost. That was 1 times 1.05, and then 7.35 is 3 plus 4 times 1.05. Incredible. Very basic, and then we could say var, I'm going to just say var duration, and then we could say, actually I'm going to move this up here to include that, and then we could say print this people cost display by 1, and then we could say 1 and 2, so you know what's happening. And so this is what I'm going to teach you for right now.